I was ready for this one too.
All right.
Now this is one we didn't see eye to eye on, right? So let's talk about it.
Okay.
Deion Sanders. So Deion Sanders took a job with Colorado. So now he's going to be leaving Jackson State University, the HBCU that he had committed to for the last 3 years. And a lot of people are upset. Black folks are upset because they feel he made a promise to the HBCU, to HBCUs, and him leaving to go to Colorado and coach a predominantly white institution is directly contradictory to that. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that shit is directly contradictory. I had two different thoughts on this. My initial thought was, damn, that shit is directly contradictory because you used this whole plight to get the support and all that. And he was even asked, what was it he was on?
60 Minutes.
The Pivot? No, he was on the Pivot.
Okay.
A while back when he first got this shit.
Pivot Pod. You talking about Ryan Clark and them boys?
Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder. They asked him, like, so if a predominantly white school hit you up, are you gonna go? He said verbatim, no.
He said that he was going to entertain it. He said that he would be foolish not to entertain it.
But he also portrayed it as if he wouldn't leave.
He didn't say no.
All right,
he didn't say he wasn't going to leave.
That's your opinion. I interpreted it a different way. But let's move past that because that's not my sticking point. That shit don't even matter for real.
All right.
He used this plight like, oh, it's not about the money, it's about because he knew he was getting paid $300,000. So, and he making his money everywhere else. So it's not about the money. We agree with you. And he got this, so he set it up like, oh yeah, it's about the kids, it's about the future, the HBCUs, woo woo. And I would even go as far to agree with people who say, bro, he outgrew it, like he did what he had to do, and then gone to the next spot. Mm-hmm. He leave jobs open for other black people to come in and take over and you know what I'm saying, become prominent in the HBCU area.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. This is why I have drawback at.
Okay.
This is where he fucked up at. You took all the good kids with you. All the kids who helped you make that program what it was. All of the top star recruits that left their schools to come over there with you. Mm-hmm. To make this 11 and 0 program. To make it to you took them with you. So now what do you leave? SWAC is back to, especially Jackson State, it's back to what it was before you got there. Because all the pieces that you put in play while you was there, you took with you. So how does that sustain? Now if you would've went and created a whole nother situation, wherever you was going, all right, cool. He did what he had to do over here. He moved. Now he finna make a path for the bigger schools for black people to come to.
Right.
Like that. But when you take everything from the lower level school that you put in place to the bigger schools, now how do they survive? How do they struggle? I mean, how do they make it?
Yo, I get where you coming from, but you gotta understand, I don't see it that way, and it's because I see it this way. Like through the same lens you looking at it, I see a guy who did 3 years for us and did what he said he was gonna do. Now, when it comes to the point that you just made, before I go further, when it comes to that point, I think that's a good point. But I think he did so much more for the university than, like, those kids have a choice whether or not to follow him. We can't sit here and ignore that Deion Sanders is the X factor in between that school, its lack of success, and its sudden success. So if they see him move on and they decide they want to move, Deion Sanders cannot make them go where he going.
But
they just grow love for him.
Accountability. We talked about accountability and knowing and understanding when we was talking about the LeBron.
So is he supposed to tell them don't come with me because it's gonna be looked at like this? Because this is those kids' futures, and they have entrusted it to Deion Sanders, and he's done them right.
If it was about that, why not stay at Jackson State? If it was really about what you said it was about. See, I feel like being black right now is a trend. Not saying that I don't want to be black or I don't like being black.
No.
But it's cool to be black. It's cool to support black. It's cool to say, oh, I'm on the side of the blacks for the non-blacks.
Right.
So you needed that rhetoric to even get done what you wanted to get done. You needed that storyline.
I fully agree with that. I think that he did use that. He did use the support for HBCUs. He did use black people to rally to support what he was doing there.
And if it wasn't that, because we all supported Prime before this.
But wait. My point is, he did what he said he was gonna do.
But then you put him at a disadvantage.
He played out his whole contract.
Had you did all of this and not put it on the backs of black people or on the backs of HBCU and bringing them up to a certain stature, then all right, you did what you said you was gonna do.
But that is what he did. He took Jackson State University. These guys were not even on the radar. He went over there for $300,000 a year.
So it's just push HBCUs while I'm here.
No.
Because once you leave, now Jackson State is no longer held to the level that it was while you were there. That's what I'm saying.
I'm seeing it from a different point of view. I'm seeing if that's his mission, that could very well still be his mission like he says he is. The problem is when it comes to rising in the coaching ranks, you have to go through the process. And I fully believe that Deion Sanders...
Going to coaching ranks? Well, you don't want to be a professional coach.
I think that things change. I think that the further he goes, the more money he's able to make, the more influential and the more titles he wins on whatever level he gets to. I think that makes him more able to help out HBCUs and more able.
So now, if that's the case, because you've only spoke about HBCUs, so I'm gonna go with your ideology,
right?
And I actually would be inclined to agree with that.
Okay.
But now I need the same thing with Colin Kaepernick. Now I need to hear you speak. Because the whole time you was at the HBCU, you spoke nothing but life into the HBCU.
Yeah.
So if that's your plan, and you see how this is unfolding, I need you to come out and tell your plan. Speak on your behalf, on your own behalf. I need you to say, yeah, I'm taking this job at Colorado, but this is a pipeline so that I can still feed the spirit of an HBCU, feed the soul of an HBCU.
That's been a lot of people.
Then I sit back and be like, all right, well, you got a game plan.
I mean, not explaining what they talking about, what they doing, has been a lot of people's downfall. Yeah, but when you look at Kyrie Irving too, but when you look at I'm just looking at the possibilities that he has. Number one, I fully recognize that him going to Jackson State University was about the things that he talked about, but not only that, this is a guy who didn't have coaching experience on that level,
and he didn't want to go there.
Which means that he wasn't going to be able to go get a job that was desirable. He wasn't going to be able to go get one where he's getting paid regular money in a program where he feels he can win.
That is my problem, bro. That we allow people to play in our faces like that. That's just like politics, bro. The nigga said, if we being honest, now we all love Prime, but let's be honest.
Right.
Buddy wanted to go somewhere else. He couldn't get that job. These was the only motherfuckers that was going to take him, so he went there, and then the movement became HBCU. Had he got accepted by the people that he wanted to get accepted by, HBCU wouldn't have never been a conversation. That's the same way I look at our artists who be like, when it's time to put out an album or when they want our support, then it's, oh, we care about the black community, we care about this and that and this and that, only for our support. The same way
I had heard Deion Sanders speak about HBCUs far before he got that job. Now I do agree that he likely wouldn't have taken that had it been better opportunities, but all of these things line up as to why he ended up there. Number one, if he goes somewhere else, a better program, then you can be an assistant coach. You can't just be a head coach with no coaching experience at one of them levels. But he didn't want exactly.
Gave him the job. Would you still be pushing See, that's my problem. If Florida State would have gave you that job and you would have took it, you wouldn't have cared about HBCUs. It wouldn't have been. While he was there, Prime would have said the top quarterback in the goddamn collegiate level. Don't come to us in Florida State. Go to Jackson State. Go to Grambling. It wouldn't have been one time he said that shit.
Man, I can't agree nor disagree there because I don't know. What I do know is that for the record, Prime put his money where his mouth is. Now, the job says the job is to recruit and coach and run a program. Prime put his money into the program. Like, he would do his job, make his check, and take some of that and actually put it into the HBCU that he was a part of, which ain't at all part of the job or necessarily the pledge. Which to me that seems like the kind of guy that if he has more money, he's likely to keep putting money back into HBCUs.
And that's
number
what
one.
I'm scared that won't happen. I think now that he done moved on from that,
we'll have to see because he, like you said, he hasn't said it. But for the record, what he did for this HBCU cannot be underwritten because these are guys who weren't on the map. In 2021, these dudes were sitting courtside at the NBA All-Star game. Everybody they were front and center. They was on blast because that's Prime, that's his HBCU, and we doing that.
Everything that you giving him credit for, you take that away when
no.
Colorado and two take all the top players. So what?
No, that's not true. That's not true because this school keeps that cachet. the school keeps
Hell
Jackson
no.
State. Yes.
Jackson State, you will not see another Jackson State game on TV. You will not see another 11-0 season. You will not see another prominent coach as prominent as Prime at Jackson State. We ain't gonna do that.
Those aren't the things that come from these things that I was talking about. The things that come from these things that I'm talking about is the opportunity. They had Pepsi looking at them. They did a commercial with Pepsi where they would have otherwise never even looked at that school to do so.
Leaves. That's what I'm saying.
I don't believe so. I believe that you bring all of that into the school and now you've opened the door, but that does not mean that you need to stay down there.
You think next season or 2 seasons from now, Pepsi or Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew or any of them is gonna be looking at Jackson State?
I think
you're crazy as hell if you think that Jackson State is finna get this great transportation shit, or that American Airlines, who worked with Jackson State off the strength of Prime, is gonna still be giving flights to them Jackson State boys. You crazy as hell if you gonna see if you think that you're gonna see a Jackson State game outside of the game between the holiday game between Jackson State and Grambling on TV. You crazy as hell if you think you're finna see that shit.
I don't believe that. I think that because of the coverage they got, they just won the SWAC championship. I think that it's likely that they get more televised games than they've gotten before Prime showed up. This team next year, we'll see that they get more televised games than they probably had before that 3-year period before Prime showed up. Because the university ain't looked at now like it was 4 years ago. That's just fact.
But it was only looked at, the university still wasn't it? We only talking about the university because of the football program. So we not about to act like the whole the university as a whole got some kind of light. Because when we bring up Jackson State, we're not talking about their academics. When we bring up Jackson State, we're not talking about their specialties, as in like how, I'm not sure what they specialize in, but like how TSU is a law school. We're not talking about Jackson State as a law school or a nursing program or nothing like that. When we talk about Jackson State, we are specifically talking about sports. So the light that you would like to shine over them wasn't even over them while Prime was there.
I think we can say the same thing about a lot of the top college teams in the NCAA though.
But the only thing
we ain't looking at Alabama
no matter what coach goes or stays, they have that prominence to where they will still be in that light for the sports program.
I think that got more to do with the alumni and the amount of money that comes back, and the fact that a lot of times at these PWIs, these predominantly white institutions, these people get successful and send their kids through the same program, and like niggas like Brett Favre. And so what they do is put money into those. That's how these schools build up. That shit ain't happening, but I don't think that has as much to do with Prime leaving to go to Colorado. That has more to do with the amount of people that were going to that school with a mission. I think he did it.
My bottom dollar on camera that the shit that we get from Jackson State right now that we didn't get before Prime was there, we will not get after Prime is gone.
I think we'll get less. I think we'll get less than what it was when it was Prime. But I don't think it can. Because now people know what Jackson State University is, and it's gonna be a target on their back because the school is a championship winner most recently. So I don't think that they can I don't think it can go back to exactly what it was before Prime showed up. It's got to be at least an uptick. It's gonna be less than what it was with Prime in his 3 years. But I don't think you see the same numbers from 4 years ago. I think it's impossible.
I don't think that, bro. Prime sold out every game. Every game. I don't think that's happening again. I think it's going back to when you think about Jackson State, when you think about Southern, when you think about Grambling, when you think about Pine Bluff, that's band.
Right.
Especially when it comes to sports. We're going to these games to see the band. Jackson State, since Prime been out, that's Jackson State still one of the top bands in the land.
But it's football.
But we going for football. Because Prime coaching them, and them motherfuckers is undefeated.
Yeah, they was TikTok videos and shit.
Now that Prime gone, if we going back for the band. And the band is not selling out 22,000 seats.
Nah, you right about that. I just don't think he wrong. I think you gotta move on, and if you want to be, if you can help more people, the more power you attain, and you gotta climb this coaching ladder in order to attain that power. Now he dedicated himself and put his money where his mouth is, and set a culture and an example for how things should go for this HBCU, like he said he would. I think that develops a pattern of supporting the HBCU to the fullest.
That if you wouldn't have took the structure, that was why my whole point of getting that. If you wouldn't have took the structure, you
took Colorado with him. With the kids.
Colorado with you. The key pieces that had you in that championship.
I don't hold him responsible for that.
But what I'm saying, but you took them with you purposely. Like you convinced these guys to come with you. Just like you convinced them to come to Jackson State with you.
See,
so now that you take that foundation, bro, even if let's just go with the best case scenario, even if you have the alumni engagement and shit, the pieces that helped you get to where you needed to be to get this recognition, you took with you. So now we don't have a top quarterback. We don't have a top running back or a top
This is
receiver.
college sports, yo.
So now that
Every
11-0
year
record is so much harder to obtain because you took the key pieces that Lil Bobby, yeah, he played. But let's be honest, the NFL wasn't looking at him. He wasn't getting 12 sacks a game.
I don't see it like that, and that's because I see it like this. I believe in college sports. It's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of college sports. It's because I like to see superstars and people that I know, and I like to know numbers and shit.
He took the superstars with him.
Yeah, but this is my point, that if I don't think he's wrong for that, because number one, he can't make them go. Now, two, in college sports, the rosters of these college teams tend to change every single year. Every year, some of your top guys lose eligibility. Every year, some of them enter the draft. Every year, some of them decide they realize they're not good enough. Every year, there's somebody that's injured and cannot come back. And every year, there's a recruit that some of these coaches find that's just better than what they got. And the kid there ends up out of a job and having to find another school. Well, I'm saying that just to say this. I'm saying that to say, like, I fully expect every single year for a college coach to have to go recruit his roster.
But you know that Jackson State coach, that Grambling coach, that Tennessee coach cannot recruit the top recruit in the country, bro. You know that. So my question becomes, do you think that the big name coming out of the state, or not even just the state, but out of the country, from high school to the collegiate level, do you think he decided to go to HBCU now? That Prime ain't there?
I think there's a chance, yeah, but not necessarily that one. But I still think, like, they just won a SWAC championship.
That was the scenario when Prime was there.
But they just won a SWAC championship. I believe that those kids, if they thinking about going to that school, they likely waiting to see who's going to be put in place there. Because what they do know is that if they remain good, if they start off good, they're gonna. Well, I know that, but that's been the thing about going to HBCU. It's too big of a chance
because Prime there for somebody to come see you.
Yeah,
that's why I was willing. Yeah, it's gonna.
But they just won the SWAC championship. They gonna get some TV time.
How many people really want to get their head cut off for the cause? The only reason why I was willing to get my head cut off for the cause was because Prime was there. I'm not putting my neck on the line for this shit, knowing that it minimizes my possibility to get to where I'm trying to go.
I see that as a good reason why he did what he did, though. When he did what he did, he's shown, like, he might have actually set the example. He might not be the last high-profile black person that goes into coaching for an HBCU.
You got Eddie George at TSU.
I heard he doing good things.
Tennessee State University.
Yeah, I heard he doing good things. But I'm saying it might not just be them. Like, Prime might have set an example for other people. He went there, he was successful, and people crowned him for it. People are mad that he left, that he moved on up, because they felt he should stay there and commit to this promise, even though we know that wouldn't maximize his career. But he set an example. I truly believe that he might not be the last big-time superstar that decides to go take on that role for a while. And nobody should go there and just stay unless that school grows financially enough to where it's worth it to stay. But it won't happen in the tenure of a coach.
I think that because of the way this played out, you may be right that he not the last big-name player to go and coach at a collegiate level, HBCU collegiate level. But because of the way this played out, he will be the last one to get the support he got.